So guys, welcome to my vlog. Tudloan ta mo ang saon pagsongog sa iro. Ming 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 ming. Go. Sige. Taas. Smile. Sige.
Domestic air and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning March 15, 2020 and to end on April 14, 2020.
Bigla naman nagbago ang lahat. Madami nang naghihirap. Kakayanin pa ba ang hinaharap? Paano na ang ating mga pangarap? Kailan ang araw na babalik ang sarap? Sabi nila, naghihilom daw ang mundo. Nakakatakot, nakakanervyos. Handa na ba tayo sa hamon ng mundo?
Chinese authorities say they're investigating a viral pneumonia outbreak.
Quarantine of the entire region of Peninsula, more than 400 new COVID-19 cases. As well as new deaths. There are now 3,600 cases in the country, with 160 unique deaths.
Kuya, gising na. Maaga pa yung klase mo eh. Bilisan mo. Ayusin mo muna yung higaan mo para ako na rin magayos ng higaan mo para mamaya na para matulog ka na madali. Yung ulam natin is crumbled egg at isda. Ako na rin nagready sa damit mo at niready ko rin yung tubig na para maligo ka na. Sige na, kain ka na.
Justin, ready mo na yung computer ko at i-on mo.
Opo kuya, nandito na po. I-open ko na.
Good.
Number 1. Ano ang full name ni Jose Rizal at kailan siya namatay?
Sir, ako po. Ano po ang full name ni Jose Rizal?
Yes,
Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado E. Alonzo Riolando. At kailan siya namatay? Ito ay December 30, 1896.
Good question, Rodjan.
Nice.
Kuya, gising na. Gising na, kuya. Maaga pa yung klase mo. Sige na, kuya. Kuya, gising na. Gising na. Niready ko na po yung pagkain mo at ang iyong damit, kuya.
Magandang umaga, sir.
Magandang umaga rin sa iyo, Rodjan.
Mahina talaga yung internet namin. Talaga.
Oh, bakit? Bakit? Ano pala nangyari sa inyo, Rodjan? Bakit?
Ay, mahina talaga yung internet namin, sir. Kasi hindi talaga maabot yung internet namin sa kwarto ko eh. Kasi kaya mahina. Hindi ako makarinig ng maayos.
Rodjan, pwede ka muna mag-leave kasi mahina talaga yung internet mo at hindi kita marinig.
Oh, sige po, sir.
Excuse lang
Salamat
kita.
po.
Balik lang mo. Palitan mo guys, go 180 height test. Pwede na kunin mo yung mind test, charot lang. Go 180 lang ni siya. Bulak, bulak, bulak. Where is the bulak?
Record high na naman ang nadagdag na bilang sa COVID-19 cases ngayong araw. Sa Metro President Rodrigo Duterte has declared a lockdown of the capital Metro Manila.
Bawal lumabas ng bahay ang mga residente maliban sa frontliners tulad ng health workers, mga sundalo at empleyado.
Of vaccination, then they may enter the country.
Wala nang pipiliing bansa sa gagawing pagpapapasok ng mga dayuhan sa Pilipinas simula April 1, 2022. Basta't kumpleto na ng bakuna kontra COVID-19, liban na sa menor de edad 12 pababa, hindi na kinakailangan ng entry exemption document at hindi na rin kailangang sumailalim sa quarantine. Ang hakbang na ito ay alinsunod sa direktiba ni Pangulong Duterte na luwagan pa ang entry protocols para sa foreign tourist bilang bahagi ng 10-point policy agenda ng administrasyon para maisulong ang economic recovery ng bansa mula sa pandemya. Kailangan lamang sumunod ang foreign tourists sa applicable visa requirements, immigration entry at departure protocols.
Even if our situation is gradually returning to normal, let us not forget to follow the protocols. We still always wear a face mask, bring alcohol, and most importantly, social distancing. We are the only people in the world who can find a way to fix this. So let's find a way to help the government and doctors who are looking for a cure for COVID-19. The novel coronavirus infections were at first associated with travel from Wuhan, but the virus has now established itself in 177 countries and territories around the world. In a rapidly expanding pandemic, health officials in the United States and around the world are working to contain the spread of the virus through public health measures such as social distancing, contact tracing, testing, quarantines, and travel restrictions. Scientists are working to find medications to treat the disease and to develop a vaccine. In COVID-19 pandemic, mental health people who have anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts skyrocketed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Symptoms of anxiety increased about 3 times, and the percentage of people with symptoms of depression increased about 4 times, compared with previous levels. Reason behind this worrisome situation with factors relating to the pandemic, such as social isolation, domestic violence, closure of schools and universities, unemployment, financial worries, as well as the treat of the disease itself, may be the contributing factors. And the COVID-19 pandemic has changed our lives in many ways, including the way we shop. That's why e-commerce has thrived amid this pandemic, which stores taking their products of the virtual marketplace. Also now, COVID-19 is transforming people's relationship to work, with millions now out of a job and many more getting used working in a very different way. Working from home full-time has gone from 1 in 50 to more than 1 in 3. Time flew by so fast. Our world has completely turned upside down. What was once normal became abnormal. What is not normal became our normal, and we call it the new normal. Some people or students could not afford and take risks to continue their education for the reason that the pandemic has affected their family source of income, enabling them to enroll for other reasons like lack of teachers, access to internet connection, and loss of interest on the part of students. We managed to cope up and adjust to the new normal. This pandemic has given to us and our daily routine really changed a lot. We wake up early, then fix our beds, eating our breakfast. Now, this is where we can observe the big changes that happen in our usual routine. After changing clothes, instead of going outside to go to school, we start to open our laptops, PC, or phones here at home and do the tasks via Google Meet, Google Classroom, and etc. We students encounter health problems due to long screen exposure, which causes fatigue, headache, and sometimes lack of motivation and many other negative things.
It's interesting that the things we cherish most are the same things we walk right by. They become so intertwined in the status quo that ultimately it becomes impossible to tell them apart from our day-to-day. That is, impossible until things change. Because as it turns out, that thing we call life, it has a say. There's a saying, you never really know what you have until it's gone. And sometimes it takes the most abrasive of reminders, the harshest of times, to help us recapture that perspective, to lift us up and show us what we had previously failed to see. And while our darkest moments test our strength, they push our boundaries, even transform our reality, they can also be the bridge that leads us exactly where we need to be. They remind us that sometimes it's not about how we spend our time, but who we spend it with. That quiet brings clarity, and the world can spin so fast that we forget to think about our place within it. It reminds us how humanity is bigger than the sum of its parts, and it takes just as much energy to build up as it does to tear down. It reminds us that no matter where we live, what we speak or who we pray to, we're not so different after all. It reminds us that there is so much more good in this world than evil, so much more love than hate, and so much promise for tomorrow. Someday we'll look back on this moment with the lessons we've learned, the hardships we've faced, and we will be reminded of the miracle that is the human spirit, unwavering in its resolve, unbreakable at its foundation, stronger than we could ever comprehend. See, sometimes it's hard to look around and find a reason to be optimistic, to understand or comprehend why. But what we'll find is that if we look hard enough, immersed in the uncertainty, the disruption, and in some cases, the tragedy, there's something to be gained. A tiny candle flickering in the night that will eventually grow to light our way. Because that road to tomorrow is paved with hope. There are pages unwritten, stories untold, and a new chapter to begin.